Hello. This video is my individual reflection over revisions that we did in step 9. And in this video, I will necessarily talk about what we did in step 9 as well as the feedback that we got in step 8 because they're very, very connected. So first, I'm going to talk about the biggest issue we had with our educational website. And that was our quiz questions did not align to our video lectures. So this is what happened. We have created our assessment instruments well before all other instructional materials. And for our instructional materials, we decided to select some videos from YouTube. And the reason for that is there is a great multitude of videos on YouTube regarding ecosystems. It's a very popular topic. I think just half like science teachers in the United States did a video on it or something. There is a lot of those videos. So we spent hours looking through those videos and we selected a video that we really liked. It had a great subject matter expert. The video was colorful. It had fantastic graphics. It was just awesome. And it didn't align to the questions. Basically, what happened when our testers had to do the quiz, there were questions on the quiz that were not covered on the video, despite video being super awesome. So this brings me to the point, right? The only way to fix this is either create our own video that matches the questions that we wrote, or we select the video first and then we create the questions based on the video and based on the way the expert in the video presents the material. So what we ended up doing, I ended up doing the video, the vocab video, and of course I did it in such a way that it was, straightforward definitions, a little bit of explanation, but it was very much to the point and very much aligned to the quiz questions. But I think might not necessarily have been nearly as entertaining as the video that we have selected. So the second issue that we had were insane technical difficulties that we ran into while trying to embed the Kahoot. And the craziest thing about this issue is that I was the one who discovered it. My teammates had no idea because it didn't exist on their computers. So what happened was the answer choices on the first question of the Kahoot covered the next button. And that totally made Kahoot unusable because our testers could not click the next button and could not go beyond the first question on the Kahoot. Now, like I said, my teammates had no idea because they had screens that are larger than mine. I'm currently traveling, as you know, and I am limited to my laptop. So, of course, on my rather small screen of my laptop, Hilda's website looked completely different than it did on their computers. So they had no idea this was a big issue until I ran into it and I had two of the testers. So we spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out how to embed the Kahoot properly. And I think we have ultimately succeeded. I think Hilda spent quite a bit of time, trying to adjust it in different ways. And then I was checking it through my computer, trying to make sure everything was working. I think the bottom line is, different with screens, with different browsers, they will render the same website differently. And that means that you gotta test it on as many different computers and as many different width and size screens as you possibly can. Because chances are you're going to run into someone who cannot open the website. And if you're assigning this to students, that is a no-no. The other issue we ran into was the length of videos. And it wasn't an issue for all of our testers, it was just an issue for one of them. The other two enjoyed the video, they found the presenter very engaging, which is why we selected this particular video, because it was great in my opinion. But we had a student who was constantly zoning out. I don't know if he was tired or what, but I think it all comes down to the fact that different learners have different attention spans, and some people are just not gonna learn well with the video. They just don't respond well to people talking at them and showing them pictures. So there are a couple of ways to mitigate this issue. We could theoretically limit the video size. However, the videos that we have selected were not long. One of them was about 3 or 4 minutes. The other one was 7 minutes. So they really weren't very, very long. And the fact that this was an issue, I think, is more indicative, not so much of the attention span, but of the fact that just not everyone likes a video lecture. Another thing that I have noticed that was connected to the video lecture, one of the videos was supposed to start at, halfway mark, and the testers didn't read the instructions. They just didn't. So the way to fix this issue is to make sure that when you embed the video, it starts at the exact mark where you want it to start. So we fixed that. So now it starts at that. Well, actually we changed that video to a different video, the one that I made, because that was the vocab video. But that sort of eliminated this issue. But in the future, if we have to start video halfway through or 2/3 through or whatever, we either need to clip it, or we need to make sure if it's embedded from YouTube, it starts from the exact mark where it's supposed to start. Another thing that could work also is making instructions larger on the website, which I totally did. I don't know about Hilda, but yeah. So that was an issue. So the conclusion for this is you gotta spice up the videos somehow, probably. The way I would have made it is using Edpuzzle. Unfortunately, Edpuzzle, you can't embed this on the website. Or if you can, I still haven't figured out how. The ladies in my group wanted to use something called Kaltura, and apparently we lucked out so much that on the day we were trying to do this, they were doing site-wide maintenance, so we couldn't do that either. So the videos stayed as they are, but we did trim down their sizes a little bit because one of the videos was replaced, and my vocab video is a lot more on point than the video we had selected, even if it's, in my opinion, a little less entertaining. So I personally think that spicing up a video with questions is probably a way to go, but it's still not something that will necessarily hold student attention. If we're talking about making the student centered, this should be something that should hold students' attention. So I think an alternate mode of instruction, or at least something that duplicates the same terms and the same ideas that are in the video somewhere else. So in our website, that was the video game that I wrote. So that one should help, because you literally cannot move on to the next step without answering whether something is an autotroph or a heterotroph. So at least those vocabulary words are something that students will have to memorize, even if the goal of the game is actually ecosystem analysis. So it kind of doubles as both analysis and a vocabulary study tool. So that actually really worked on the learner who was zoning out during the videos. But I think just having an alternate mode of instruction and having extra questions really works. So final thoughts. I prefer instructional materials that I create myself. I kind of knew that about myself already, and this is a completely inefficient way to approach things, and I'm fully aware of that because YouTube and internet is full of awesome instructional materials, and sometimes they truly are awesome, but as we have discovered during our vocab quiz issues and trying to dealing with those, every once in a while you have to make those instructional materials yourself, and you have to make them in such a way that they're aligned to the questions that you yourself have set. So in other words, if you are creating the assessment instruments, you probably should be creating at least some of your instructional materials yourself. Okay, second takeaway, everything needs to be tested. And, I'm just wondering what would come out of our website if we tested it on more than 3 people. Because what happened, we tested it on 3 people and 2 computers because I was testing it. I had my learners use my computer. So I was wondering if we had different laptops and desktops and different people testing it out, what would have happened and what other issues we would have found. So I think the more we test this, the better. And I think we need to make sure we're testing this with devices that are very dissimilar to each other. And finally, despite the issues with the quiz questions and how they didn't match our instructional materials, I really, really liked creating assessment materials before the instructional materials. What I mean by that is I have never made a video as easily as I have made that ecosystem vocab video. And the reason it was so easy is because I knew exactly what I wanted to say. So I made a little slideshow for the video like I usually do. That slideshow took me 15 minutes to make. It was very, very fast, and I was very surprised how easy it was because I already knew all the terms that I wanted to cover, and I wasn't trying to create anything from scratch. I just knew I had to cover this, and this. And creating instructional materials after creating assessment instruments, I think it's definitely the way to go. I think I really, really like that. And this is it. This is all of my thoughts about this project. Thank you.